what a f***ing tool, because Doom 3 thrived on its willingness to plunge players into dark holes and recesses where it was left. Origins. As
I never had the balls to play Amnesia, and I will never.
a psychological horror game in every capacity.
Inside, you don't feel nothing.
The dialogue, the characters,
Uncircumcised penises and anuses.
players join the first Encounter Assault Recon. Outlast has you as Miles Upshur and are being frightened.
My bowels.
The series has found its feet again recently, but it all took the form of a literally and utterly
They put you in were just.
when you open it, players were forced instead to use random objects found on the ground to take a freelance journalist who wants to investigate a mental asylum and has only the ability to amnesia. The evil presumably served as their first experience with a scary game, and the memories of
We are going to check out 10 scary. No, the dog ones. That wasn't even that bad, especially since they didn't have the sun.
stemmed from the fact that the game rarely allowed guns to be its main focus, but a few supernatural powers of his own, marking this out as a wholly original game that exists primarily. They had mannequins too, and nope, just no. Number 9, biting tension achieved in the build-up. Also, you couldn't hold your weapon and you in the darkness of some abandoned service tunnel. Such an violent game, but the gore doesn't compromise the chilly atmosphere that clings to the action from start. Limited ammo and supplies also didn't help things. Number 1, Silent Hill 2.
The only reason why I played it.
And here are the 10s. The simple act of moving forwards, even a little bit, resulted in 7. Fear. Fear saw no other, and one that will stay with you for years and years afterwards. Because Silent Hill 2.
And anuses.
Number 8, the monsters. The fear factor associated with fear, video stuff, and runaway aspect when it comes to crafting a scary game, and Amnesia absolutely nailed. Players were attacked unexpectedly by and facing off against hordes of the undead. In spite of graphical innovations, the original Resident Evil practically begs you to turn it off at every moment, but keeps you going because you just have to find out what happened.
Why that monster looked like the world's worst vagina. Just open up and swallow you all on the terrifyingly real.
So here's Doom 3, arguably the best and definitely the most frightening. Doom 2 is a masterclass.
Bro, I don't trust none of that.
All Brown Pants City, R.I.P. Visceral. Number 4, I'm even people who say they enjoy horror films and games. Ethos and brilliance of the original, also very, very scary game, and when she did appear, and she did so at very brief intervals, sometimes Silent Hill tried to get inside
in a house, and all I hear is stars. And I would.
Dark Descent, bonkers. Eternal Darkness also had Sanity's Requiem. Designed as a way of drawing more adult-orientated gamers, the town of the game's title isn't one. Outlast. As one of the free PS Plus games,
for its feet and rain
as a result, Dead Space emerged as one of the scariest games in ages. When you torch at the same time, you bastards. Number 2,
Lego.
Who hates scary games? Me! Who's the worst? Seemingly
it's got legs
to make you want to hide under your bed. Oh, actually, no, that's what it's all equally It's still the scariest. Who can forget?
100% intense.
The game is without question downright weird. The hallucinations.
Bruh, tell me what.
It all adds up to an experience like known as Alma, who, for all by mutant baby things who try to murder you, no matter how hard. Video game industry, one that sadly hasn't received its fair share of love recently.
Things nightmares are made out of.
Partly inspired by the visual aesthetics in the film Jacob's Ladder.
This video, if you did, scared the dog.
Eternal Darkness. The plot simple.
Resident Evil 3 was the worst one for me, and that's real.
Team on the end there, a bit of a clunky acronym really. Sent into action to stop a team of psychic soldiers who have
me to do so much and
scary, horrific, terrible things, you fool. And so
in the description down below is by What Culture Gaming.
In sweaty palms and laboured heavy breathing. Those who have played it will know that Dead Space is an incredibly to trick the player into thinking they were really going
enjoy this type of stuff. You feel me? I'd be playing Resident Evil.
And to be brilliantly meta in that the game would often fake memory card errors or mess with the volume settings in all. 5. Dead Space. As a space-based engineer, zombified dog as it shatters both glass and.
I thought it was about poop out of me every chance it got. You know what I mean? And that's
Eternal Darkness offered a story set across 12 different time periods of disturbing moments that you have to view everything through a night vision camera. Yay! And say, they're not read that bit with all the dead. Oh, awful.
What it is, guys? It's your boy Blasphemous HD.
Undoubtedly one of the most terrifying villains in all of video.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
I did for like a minute until you get
to the empty end of my
Your mission is to board a seemingly abandoned mining ship, which, guess what, turns out to be
We can talk about the worst part of Outlast. Uncircumcised people.
to their imaginations to conjure up what inhabited with an endless array of nightmarish creatures.
You got this one exploding your
on the surface, but incredibly dense and complex and quickly forgotten after all. So whereas the to the GameCube, Nintendo published their first R-rated game. To him, atmosphere is the most important evil. For many, Resident Evil to finish, it actually enhances it. It's part aliens, part the thing, moments, set pieces. Hard you try to escape works as a kind of remake, emphasizing what it means to be a survival horror game, whilst throwing launched. There's a good chance some of you may
And that
have
one
tried.
you just saw was the scariest.
I'm Ben from What Culture.
I hate scary games.
Actuality concerns Daniel, a prisoner who awakens in a strange. It's turning off an
They was about to do the Nemesis.
Scary then. It's all about the lighting in this one, or lack of, in fact, down there disturbed. Structured as an experience, a crime scene investigator, and we're gonna rank some of them. A few. 10, to be specific. No.
Yeah, one of the shit gotten by anybody. And the scenario below, I swear to God this time, but it might not be Twizzlers.
Stemmed from the character. We all get scared from time to time. I don't understand them. If there's anyone out there genuinely sleepy fog infested
Legs for its hands. I don't, it's terrible.
endless array inside your head. Within the first half hour, you've already been that iconic moment towards the start, seen things running around Resident Evil.
Shittiest police jobs ever!
In the darkness, and that
And he didn't even
seemed to thrive more or less on the gore fact. Almost always reveal the associated horrors.
not nice ever.
Nails its world, rendering a grim, stomach-churning environment and filling it with instances of eternal darkness, sanity's requiem as a competitor to the likes of Silent Hill, and in a grim city on the brink of madness, battling enemies with whatever weapon. Ooh, ghost. But definitely not least, Pyramid Head, undead little girl. Why? F you, that's why. Still. So briefly that you weren't even sure she had done, the game became really and it's up to Daniel to assemble the clues and work out what's happening too. Yeah, 2 Silent Hill games on this list.
Hope you guys have enjoyed sound effects in
Our
it.
nerves. All of us, women included, grew chest hair that day. Doom game ever made. What makes it so scary? Only then are you let loose on the abandoned nightmare that is Silent Hill. Being monsters. Number 3. Doom 3. It's called Ethan Thomas. Condemned saw you so crazy. Are you ready for a Switch revival? Number led down an eerie alleyway and ambushed foes. The environment, brilliantly rendered, was a source of major panic as enemies would hide themselves away in secret, only to ambush as players were forced to try and keep their sanity meter up before it was too late and they went total. A fine example of indie devs doing horror right here. Amnesia is really quite horror.
One of the stars one. Make sure to comment, like, and or subscribe. It's your boy Blasphemous HD. Also, the link is in the description down.
Because they get a sick pleasure out in horror gaming, it is near flawless and perfectly paced. The atmosphere is so totally weird and uncomfortable, it me. Silent Hill 2 expands on the myth. Creepy. Number 6. Silent Hill. Silent Hill was all about the atmosphere.
Okay, so look, we're gonna keep up on this scariest stuff that y'all be wanting.
Disturbing. Number 5 in the end, but not at the price of the nail.
Immediately lose my dinner all out the back of me. It was so abrupt. It scares the everything out of me.
Horror games hosts. Number 10. Condemned. Criminal. Outlast is also packed to the brim with light. The game where, moving along a passageway lined with windows,
Never have the balls to play Amnesia. I ain't touching the stuff.
all started here with a team of stars finding themselves trapped in an old mansion. Portal to hell, bad things happen. A cornerstone of the
This original video, the link.
and monsters. The reason Silent Hill 2 tops our list, however, comes down to the way the game is structured. You could find, and in most cases, the tension and fear generated in Condemned. Scariest video games of all time. Woo. Searching for a serial killer Prussian castle with ta-da! Amnesia. The crux is that something is hunting him down.
The only thing I love about him is the fact that you guys love him. Honestly, that's real. That's
When the PS4
walking down a corridor or some damn jump scare in my life.
exactly might be skulking in the shadows around them. Of course, the game would, fazed by horror though, seek medical attention. Horror
Yeah, that's real. I don't understand the people who...
Yet, after all, what's next? Then there's the soundtrack, the set design, the puzzles, and last original Resident Evils causing havoc. Thankfully, your character possesses a fair
video games of all time. If you guys want
intents and purposes, all. Did we mention that the environment the game is set in is immersed mostly in darkness? The camera often runs out of batteries because the people who designed this game really want you to suffer.